What up? What up? We have an emergency Earlverse. The Los Angeles Kings have made a large trade, jettisoning Pierre Dubois after just 1 year of an 8-year contract to the Washington Capitals for goalie Darcy Kemper, who has played for the LA Kings before. So we look at this trade. The Kings basically, to get Kemper back in the fold, had to give up Pierre-Luc Dubois, Gabriel Velarde, Rasmus Kupari, Alex Iafallo, and a second-round draft pick. That's a big mistake. But this is like a tattoo cover-up. Dubois last year, and once again, he was making $8.5 million, 40 points. Not good when you're making $8.5 million. And in the playoffs was essentially the fourth line center. So Blake Lizotte was playing in front of him. So what up, Drunken Donuts? William Zoom, are you ready to rock? Queen on Dr. Nova. Up in this. I mean, it's the selling point of this trade to the King fans is essentially the Capitals retained all of the $8.5 million. Now you get Kemper. I think he makes about $5 million. So we just gained about $3.5 million in salary cap, which probably will come in handy extending Quentin Byfield's contract. You know, the Kings are probably going to lose Victor Arvidsson and Matt Roy. So we got some issues there. We possibly might lose Grundstrom. So, we got some roster manipulation to do. If we lose Roy, you got to figure the defensive pairings would be Anderson, Doughty, Spence, Gavrikov, and as of right now, Clark in England. The fourth line, if Grundstrom doesn't come back, if Kaliev doesn't come back, we've got some splaining to do. Does Fagemo, does he make the team next year? Does Akil Thomas make the team next year? Can Alec Turcotte, does he make the team if he can get healthy? Does Kopitar stay at first line center? He did seem to slow down a little bit this year. So, it's going to be very interesting. I'm a little sad because I like Dubois as a player. 6'4", 225 pounds, fast for a player that size, great size. When he uses it, he's intimidating, but he rarely uses it. And at the end of the day, you're looking at this being he is 25 years old, and this is now his fourth team, the Capitals. So at some point, it's on him. At some point, you got to be like, hey, dude, get your ass in gear. And the Kings gave up a lot to get him. They gave up Velarde, Kapari was a first-round pick. Iafallo, one of the most dependable players in the league, and a second-round pick. It's a lot. I mean, this trade, the initial trade, almost cost Rob Blake his job. And now, Kemper, I don't know. I mean, it's a little underwhelming. I got to be honest with you. I don't think he's that much more an improvement over Talbot. Goaltending was not the Kings' problem this year. Now, we didn't have great goaltending, but our goaltending, I would say, was slightly above average. Our problem was secondary scoring. Our problem was probably at the start of the season relying on Dubois and having that not pan out. So, now he's Washington's problem. And, I could see him. I mean, that's a pretty nice line, him, Ovechkin, and Tom Wilson. But I also thought it would be a good line, him and Fiala and really whoever else is on the other side, Arvidsson, Kempe at times. I mean, I was at the game where Trevor Moore scored a hat trick, and with Dubois as his center. And Dubois was essential in every goal that Moore scored, especially the last one, where he dove to get Moore to go in on a breakaway. So he was unselfish, and that was like, that's the PL Dubois we're paying $8.5 million for. Well, I could understand why the Kings got rid of Quick. At the time, he just wasn't playing well. So that's a trade, although I still think they did him pretty dirty. If you didn't know, I mean, Quick was told he was not getting traded, and then, he was told over the phone, "Hey, you're going to Columbus." Beloved chatter, what up, baby? I mean, Pierre-Luc Dubois on paper is one of the best players in the league, but unfortunately for him, this game ain't played on paper. So, we'll see what happens. I mean, it's free agency is going to be big for the Kings this year. I mean, I would like to see them get a guy like Pat Maroon, who is the perfect fourth line guy for the Kings at this point. He starts the scrums, he chips in with timely goals. A little slow at this point of his career, but he's exactly the type of player the Kings need on that fourth line. Pierre-Luc Dubois got traded to the Shuley network. Interesting. I thought it was the Washington Capitals. Cup is the Rangers to lose next year. I mean, I don't know. I don't know about that. I mean, Edmonton looks real good. Carolina looks good. Florida looks good. Tampa Bay will rebound. See what the Kings do. He would have killed Night Moose. Get it? He would have killed. So it's going to be a very interesting scenario as to how this all plays out. Kings are going to have a lot of rookies playing in the lineup potentially. You could have Akil Thomas. Uh, Turcotte's technically not a rookie, but he's pretty young. Spence and Clark, I mean, Spence isn't a rookie, but Clark essentially is. Um, so it's I don't know. I mean, Kaliev is still probably going to be traded. I think he's an RFA. So there will be, but you're not going to get much for him. I mean, his value is totally ruined. Big Black, what up? We're talking a little hockey on Juneteenth. Happy Juneteenth, Big Black. Appreciate you chiming in. Um, so this was just an emergency episode for me to discuss my thoughts on. I always like the guys who get traded, you know, Kovalchuk, or released. Kovalchuk was my neighbor in Beverly Hills. Um, so uh, it's good to talk hockey. Not yet. This is going to be a quick Earlverse. We might, we're just talking about the Pierre Luc Dubois Darcy Kemper trade. Of course, like I said, if you follow hockey, you'll know that Pierre Luc Dubois was getting $8.5 million. He was in year one of an 8-year deal. Somehow Rob Blake got the Capitals to take all the salary, which is rare. Usually when you have a player that's not working out and he's making that kind of money, the Kings would have to retain salary. But that's probably why the return on Dubois wasn't the best. I mean, Kemper, uh, I think his save percentage was under 900 this year. So, I honestly don't know if Kemper's any better than fucking Talbot, who is not coming back. So right now, the Kings goaltending, as we stand, is Kemper, big save Dave Rittich has the second in command. And, Phoenix Copley is, he's recovering off an ACL. I don't know if they'll give him like a 1-year or two-way contract. And then you've got Eric Portillo, who is, I guess you'd say, the goaltender of the future, along with Jacob Ingham uh, in Ontario. So, pretty big day for the Kings. I mean, the fans were basically told Dubois not getting traded. We're not buying him out. But I also think the Kings were a little bit under some time constraints because I think in 12 days, a full no trade clause would have kicked in. So that would have made it very hard to move him. Who knows if he would have wanted to go to Washington. Washington's about to hit a rebuild. I mean, Ovechkin is, he's slowing down a little bit. Tom Wilson, who I had heard the Kings had kicked the tires on a little bit last summer. And that's the perfect kind of player that the Kings need. They need an agitator. They need someone who. Thank you. What the fuck? Get over it. What up, Colt? Do you think I mean, it's anyone's series now, Jimmy. Anyone's. I mean, it's basically, obviously, I always hate that saying it's whoever wants it more. You can't tell me the Oilers want it more than the Panthers or vice versa. Essentially, this series is gonna be whoever fucks up the least. So Bobrovsky lets in a bad goal, or Skinner lets in a bad goal. Hit the like button. Speaking of bad goals. Um, So, and then the real fun begins because the draft is in, I think, 2 weeks. No, actually a week and a half. Basically 2 weeks from this week. Um, and I think the Kings' first round pick is number 21. So you're probably not going to get a player who immediately helps you, to be honest. Um, and then I don't think they have a second round pick this year because that trade or that pick is going to Winnipeg. for the original Dubois trade. So it's going to be interesting to see what they do at the draft. Do they trade Kaliev? Kaliev was a very high second round pick, basically essentially a late first rounder, but I think he was like the second pick of the second round. Um, and his development, especially last year, was a fucking disaster. But you know, I'm assuming the most you could get for Kaliev is maybe a second round pick. Um, I could see maybe Pittsburgh. Man, we'll stick him with Crosby and Malkin, see what he can do with them. Um, and then July 1st. So what are we? 13, 12 days from July 1st, maybe, if I'm doing that right. 13 days, maybe. It's free agency. So it's going to be a lot of moving and grooving for the Kings and every other team. Patrick Laine is available for trade. I know the LA King, LA Kings have been linked to him at several points. So, if you look at the Kings and what their probable lines could be, Kopitar, Kempe, and then, Laine wouldn't suck on that line. Probably, you know, I don't know what you would trade Columbus. Maybe you trade Kaliev and some picks. And then you have potentially Fiala and Byfield, and then who knows? It could be Akil Thomas, could be, more, um, so there's some question marks there. Third line could be Deneau, could be Moore, could be Thomas. I'm assuming we're losing Arvidsson, so a cheapish free agent or trade. And then the fourth line is going to be a real cluster. You know what? I mean, Turcotte probably is going to be the center if he's healthy. Ferrier is an option, or he could be the third line option. And then I would hope to see Maroon. I just think he's so perfect for what the Kings need. And then defense, you got Anderson, Doughty, and then you could have Gavrikov Clark or Gavrikov Spence. And then the other, whoever it isn't, probably be paired with England, who I liked. And, the Kings are, after that, I'm looking, as of right now, they've got about $24 million in cap space. But, keep in mind, we have to sign Byfield, so that's going to take up a chunk. Grundstrom, Lizotte, and Lewis are potentials to come back, but maybe I could see them maybe bringing Grundstrom back. I mean, I wouldn't mind a fourth line of Turcotte, Grundstrom, and Maroon. Lewis, it's a great story, but I would hope that he would sign with Utah. That's where he's from. Lizotte, there's just at some point the kid's got to play. And he's a great fourth line guy. He hustles. If Dubois had Lizotte's effort level, you'd be like, okay, but he doesn't. So, it's going to be a very interesting year. And then, like I said, goaltending, I'm assuming the depth goes Kemper, Riddick. I don't, who knows what's up with Phoenix Copley. Technically, he's not signed to the team. Portillo or Portillo, I've heard some, it's like with Fagemo. I've heard Fagemo. I've heard Fagemo. I know I'm not trying to be funny. I think he led the AHL in goals. So, maybe he slots in on the third line or fourth line at the, I wouldn't, if you had a line of Turcotte, Fagemo, and Maroon, if you don't bring Grundstrom back, there's a lot of possibilities. And who knows if the Oilers don't win, maybe Draisaitl acts out. I don't know what his contract status is, though. I would love to be on the Rich Eisen show. Well, I'm cheating right now, to be honest with you. I mean, I'm on Twitter looking at the Kings roster, so I'm not just saying this shit off the top of my head in full disclosure. Oh, minor league hockey is fun because it's a good mixture of veterans who've just said fuck it. They've given up on playing in the NHL, and then you've got the kids who are trying to say fuck it and get to the NHL. Up in this, Chikrin is a very interesting, proposal. I mean, I don't know. He's just hurt so much, man. Um, but looking at the Kings, if you had Anderson, Doughty, I mean, here's the thing though. The problem is if you get Chikrin, then either Chikrin or Gavrikov is going to be on the third line. You can't pair Spence and Clark together. That'd be a fucking defensive disaster. Um, although it would be nice to have Anderson, Doughty, Gavrikov, Chikrin as your top four. That's a nice top four. And I liked England. I mean, England was very serviceable, and frankly, probably outside of Grunstrom, who was hurt a lot of the year, England was really our only true physical presence. And I'm sick of the fucking Kings. When there's a scrum that gets in there and Kempe goes in. Kempe's your best player, arguably. I don't want him in scrums. Um, so, Daddy Colt. Yeah, I mean, I'm a big Kings fan, so I mean, yeah, Hershey Bears fighting the Coachella. Were they the Firebirds? Um, so it's just funny that there's a hockey team in Coachella Valley, which is fucking hot. I mean, those kids, Bakersfield is hot. Coachella is might be even hotter than Bakersfield. So all in all, a fun off day. Of course, the Edmonton Oilers won last night, 5-3 in Florida. I'm sure both teams are in the air right now, flying back to Edmonton. Oh, that's going to be a long flight from Florida. Um, and it's anything goes. Friday, Friday night. And then the Stanley Cup final. I think they would Friday night. They'd travel Saturday. So if there's a game 7, it would be Monday. Um, I mean, it really is. You talk about refrigeration and an ice rink and Coachella Valley and Bakersfield. I mean, I was in that Bakersfield arena for AEW, and fuck me, was it hot in that arena. But Coachella Valley is the Seattle Kraken's farm team. I entered into the contest to name the team. I voted for the Coachella Valley Cougars because there's a lot of old women that live in Coachella. I thought that was pretty funny. Yeah, hit the like button, please. There's gonna be about a half hour Earlverse. We might do another one later tonight, but I just had to share my thoughts on this trade. Kind of came out of nowhere because the last couple weeks, Rob Blake said essentially that Dubois would not be moved, he would not be bought out, and I mean, I don't expect a GM to be 100% honest with the fans, but this trade makes me a little sad just because the potential that Deneau has is like this guy is the real deal. 6'4", 225 pounds, fast for a player that size, physically intimidating when he plays with a bit of an edge, a little bit dirty too. Um, but man, he does not play with any fucking heart at all. There's a play, I think it was the first home game against Edmonton in the playoffs, where Bouchard was giving him the face wash and, just punking him basically in his home arena. And just Bouchard was like, literally looked like he was on the golf course waiting for someone to yell 4 so he could start looking for the ball. Um, so yes, Teddy, there was a trade today. That is why we're doing an emergency Earlverse. the LA Kings have traded Pierre Luc Dubois to the Washington Capitals with full salary retention by the Capitals. Bit of a surprise there. And the Kings get their ex goaltender back, Darcy Kemper, who from 2020 to 2023 had good save percentage, played very well. Last year he had a bit of an off year, but so did the Capitals as a team. So you don't know, um, who to believe. Was the downfall in stats? Is he losing it, or was it a bad team? I mean, because really outside of Ovechkin and Tom Wilson, the Capitals are hurting. So, um, I don't. I think Dubois is going to have to play more physical next year. I mean, the East is no joke. Boston's a physical team. Toronto's a physical team. Carolina's a physical team. The Rangers are a physical team. Islanders are a physical team. Speaking of the Islanders, I think I'm really sales pitching for Pat Maroon to get on that Kings fourth line, but if that's not a possibility, I think Matt Martin is a free agent, if I'm not mistaken. I also think Cal Clutterbuck is a free agent. He'd be someone I wouldn't mind seeing running around. Um, and Corey Perry, I think, is a free agent. I wouldn't mind seeing him on the Kings. I mean, that's a guy. They need a guy who stirs the pot. That sucks going from the Kings to Washington. Yeah, Washington is just, obviously they're never going to trade Ovechkin because who would go to the games? But like, I feel bad for Ovechkin. They just, they're a team without a purpose, and you know, there's not really a lot of moves that they can do. I mean, you've got a great, first line, and maybe Dubois slides in between Wilson and Ovechkin. But it's I mean, I know Wilson, the Kings were kicking the tires on last year. I don't know if he was available or they were just making the call, but you got to kind of feel bad for Ovechkin. He knows that this is his last couple of years, and the East is just, there's so many good teams in the East. Boston will always rebound. I'm sure Toronto will do something to get back in the mix. I mean, Pittsburgh's kind of going nowhere, but Crosby's like, hey, get me some fucking help. I got a couple years left. So Pittsburgh will improve. They didn't bring Dubas in to tank. Carolina's, very, very good. Obviously, Florida's great. Tampa Bay will always be in the mix. So the East is tough. There's really not a lot of teams that I see Washington overtaking. But we'll see what happens. I mean, yeah, I mean they probably are, Teddy. Do you think the Oilers will force Game 7? I mean, anything's possible, and it's basically a 2-game series now. And I've said it before in the stream. I don't think that. I always hate it when whoever wants it more is going to win. And it's like they both want it. You can't tell me McDavid wants it more than Kachuk and vice versa, or Bobrovsky wants it more than Skinner. But at the end of the day, it's actually Friday, Teddy. They take 2 days off when they're traveling because it's so far. At the end of the day, it's really who fucks up the least. That's essentially what happens. So Bobrovsky lets in a bad goal, or Skinner lets in a bad goal, or Nurse fucks up on defense, or Matador makes a bad play. It's going to be great. I mean that the atmosphere on Friday night is going to be wild. So we'll see what happens, and if it goes to Game 7, I mean, I think. And I'm sure someone didn't stream snipe me saying this, but I did say the Panthers in 7. But you could definitely tell the Oilers have the much better body language. I mean, last night you look at them, they're all like, hey, we got this, man. We're coming back. Fuck yeah. And you look at the Panthers, they just look dejected, like, oh, fuck. We're about to blow this. So, I mean, was the first goal last night stoppable? Bobrovsky's playing the game of his life. He stops Brown, but that was a nice goal. And Brown's a big body, 6'6" or whatever he is. So he's got a great body to try that move he did. Um, well, it's actually it might be a national holiday tomorrow in Edmonton, but they play Friday. Um, because I think it's like 2,800 miles from Florida to Edmonton. So, and I know the last time Florida traveled there, they got there like less than 24 hours before the game. So it's a haul. I mean, I've flown to Edmonton from LA and it's a fucking bitch. It's like a 3.5 hour flight because Edmonton is, man, it's a hole, man. It is deep into Canada. You got to fly over Vancouver, Calgary. Um, so it's from Florida. Like, man, those pilots, I almost wouldn't be surprised if they have two sets of pilots. It's probably, I mean, if it's a 5.5 hour flight from Florida to LA, I would say from Florida to Edmonton, it's got to be 6 hours, maybe even a little longer. So that's, as long as it is from LA to New York. Um, but it's going to be a great game. The key for Florida Friday is you just got to survive that first 10 minutes because, Draisaitl, McDavid, Hyman, Nugent Hopkins, Bouchard, they're going to be flying like river rats. So it should be interesting. But that's it for the Earlverse, the emergency Earlverse. I know a lot of you don't like hockey. And it's not even that you don't like it. You just, it's not your bag. I get it. Hockey's not for everyone. I even sometimes wonder, why do I like hockey so much? But when a big Kings trade happens, we'll be Johnny on the spot for it. So once again, if you're just joining the newscast, the Edmonton Oilers play the Florida Panthers Friday night, Game 6. Game 7 will be Monday in South Florida. And the LA Kings today traded Pierre-Luc Dubois after 1 year of his 8-year contract, where he's making $8.5 million to the Washington Capitals. The Capitals retain full salary, which is really the selling point for this trade. And the Kings get back their ex-goaltender, Darcy Kemper. Obviously, the Kings had made it known that Cam Talbot was not coming back. And I got to be honest with you, I wouldn't have minded if he did. Like, goaltending was not the problem for the Kings this year. No, they've cut down on the boxing and hockey, T-gun. Back in the day, it was jungle hockey. Back in the day, like if you look at the, like I'll just take you through this, like the Philadelphia Flyers had like 6, 7 legit tough guys, and they won 2 Stanley Cups. They had Dave Schultz, they had Bob Hound Dog Kelly, Bobby Clark, Mel Bridgman, Ken Lensman, Bill Barber, Ben Wilson, Glenn Cochran. So then the Islanders went out and drafted Clark Gillies. And really, this doesn't get talked about a lot, but the Islanders essentially won their first cup based on a fight between Clark Gillies and Dave Schultz, where Gillies beat the shit out of Schultz, which no one had really done. And I think the next year, Schultz was traded to the Kings. But that kind of proved to the rest of the league the Flyers aren't the biggest bad boys in the league anymore. It's the Islanders with Clark Gillies, Bob Nystrom, Gord Lane, a couple other guys. And then the Rangers go out and they do a 5-for-1 swap with the Colorado Rockies that, they traded for Barry Beck. They drafted Ed Hospodar. They had Eddie Johnstone. Carol Vadnais was a pretty tough dude. The Maloney brothers, Ron Greschner, Chris Kotsopoulos. And then, the Bruins always had tough guys. Jay Miller, Willie Plett, Lyndon Byers, Gore Kluzak. I mean, every team had like 3 to 4 to 5, some as many as 5. I mean, the Quebec Nordiques, they had, when I used to collect hockey fight tapes, the hottest tapes that collectors wanted were the Quebec Nordique training camp videos because they would literally have 10 fighters in the camp, and they would probably sign 5 of them. So you had the Roberge brothers, you had Darren Kimball, Ken McRae, Basil McRae, Gord Donnelly. I mean, it was um, insane. Nowadays, not so much. I mean, you can't even really name the top 5 fighters in the league anymore because there's not 5 guys who fight with consistency. You've got Ryan Reeves in Toronto, the Wonder Kid Rempe and the Rangers. Tom Wilson of the Capitals is probably the best fighter in the league. I think that kid Didier in Columbus, and that's about it. Um, Koser, John Cordick, Dan Cordick. It's probably one of the saddest videos I've ever seen, AP. Um, is that John Cordick, when he was clearly at the end of his rope, was playing, I think he was with Washington or Quebec, because he kind of started bouncing around a little bit. And he tried to fight his brother Dan. And it was like that old monster movie, The Battle of the Gargantuans, where there was the good guy and there was the good brother and the bad brother, and you could tell Dan Cordick didn't want to fight him. So Stagwar, get out of here. Yeah, Tony Twist, Chris Simon, and they came in a little bit toward the end of the Nordiques, trying to keep up with the Bruins and the Canadians. Do you remember those twins that was on Vancouver? I think you're talking about the Sedin twins, but they were forwards. That was the best joke I ever told in Vancouver. I was like, "Hey, you guys watch hockey and porno?" They made a porno about the Sedin brothers. It's called Two Girls and No Cup. Hello, boing, boing, boing. Wally Weir was a tough dude. Damn, you up in this. You really know your hockey. I mean, Quebec had some tough dudes. Louis Schlager. Um, the Friday Night Massacre. I mean, that game. You had Dale Hunter playing on Quebec, Mark Hunter playing in Montreal, and they fought. I mean, the brothers. I mean, it was look up Friday Night Massacre, Quebec and Montreal. Chris Chelios, a very young Chris Chelios, was playing. Chris Nyland was beating up on Randy Moeller. I mean, I think Quebec had at least 5 to 6 tough guys. Montreal had 5 to 6 tough guys. Whereas nowadays, like take the Kings roster this year, they had Andreas England, and he's not even really a tough guy, but he will fight. And then a couple years ago they had Curtis McDermott. Yes, they were centers. No, I think one was a center, maybe one was a wing. Hello. So Grimson was scary to watch. Like those, if you look up Grimson and Vandenbush, I read a book that was talking about Vandenbush was talking about that one fight when he was with the Rangers, and I think Grimson was with Hartford, and Grimson literally hit him with 5 or 6 straight right bombs. I mean, bombs. And if you look at Vandenbush in the penalty box, what up, Jordan? I'm just about to end. We did an emergency Earlverse today because of the hockey trade. But if you look at Vandenbush in the penalty box, he's clearly concussed. And even his teammates were trying to get him in the locker room. He's like, I'm not leaving. He's like, I couldn't feel the right side of my face, but I was not leaving the penalty box because that would have shown weakness. Now, if Pierre-Luc Dubois had that kind of fucking mindset, he'd still be in Los Angeles, living on the beach, collecting 20%. That's a line from Die Hard. Thank you very much. Lois, that, by the way, my comedy special was because of the ass shot was I don't want to say downgraded, but upgraded to only 18 and over. Can't watch it. So please, I've been uploading a lot of videos yesterday and today. I've been finding these secret videos I never knew I had on Facebook. I went into my video section on Facebook, and like today I just released a full hour of Nita Strauss, the guitar player from Alice Cooper. I forgot I filmed it on Facebook Live and I never put it out there. And then my comedy special trailer. Please check that out. You know, the the more views it gets, maybe the more buzz, you know, takes over, and someone says, "Hey, I'll pay for your special." Fuck it. That's going to be the name of my special. Fuck it. Um, well, now I actually go into the VIP area because they know me as a comic. You got that right, William Zoom. You got that right, brother. So we got AEW wrestling. I got to walk Lois for a minute. AEW, I don't know if I'll come back tonight and do a stream, but never say never. Never, we'll probably still talk a little bit about the trade if we do, to warn you non-hockey jabronis. And then what else? I did another protein cookie review. I'm trying to crack the algorithm. I'm just going to bombard YouTube with hopefully what they think and what you guys think is high quality videos. I heard Delia's special was rated 12 to 16. Boing. That's all right. Delia, I mean, his dad's got money. He'll be fine. I mean, but it just goes to show you the wacky business of Hollywood. I mean, right before the pandemic, Delia was God in comedy. Like he could do whatever he wanted and did. Pew! And now, look at him. I mean, we were comedy friends. He was always nice to me, but I think the last time we spoke, I was like, bro, I just like, I got to be honest with you. I believe some of these women, and he swore up and down to me that he was being set up and whatnot. But we haven't talked a lot since that conversation. So yeah, he's still working. He's still play. Listen. I don't know whether he's guilty or not. It's up to you to make your own decision on that. But people don't give a fuck. Bill Cosby could do a comedy tour tomorrow, and I guarantee you every venue would sell out. Yeah, I mean, everyone's what up, Wheezy? I mean, literally, I mean, look at Charlie Sheen. His comedy tour was sold out. Harvey Weinstein could do a spoken word tour. It would sell out. I guarantee you that. That's all comedy clubs care about, man. If you can fill a room, they don't care what you're accused of. They really don't. Oh, I mean, dude, well, you say that funny, you say that kiddingly, Teddy, but if OJ Simpson was alive and he did not a comedy tour, but a spoken word tour where he talked about his career and he had a moderator up there to help him, guarantee it would sell out. If OJ did it, if D'Elia did it, if so-and-so did it. I mean, well, the problem with D'Elia, really is that the screenshots of the Snapchats and, the recordings, there's nothing that beats someone's words and in some cases voice. Like, it's kind of hard to, it's like when OJ got convicted for the armed robbery in Vegas and they just kept playing that audio tape of OJ saying, "No one in this room move, motherfuckers. I want my shit back." It's like, how do you defend that? You know what I'm saying? There's just not a lot you can do in terms of, he was basically kidnapping those people to get his memorabilia back. You don't think if Charles Manson was alive and he somehow he got out of prison and he did like, well, he was a music guy. If he did a music tour, it would sell out. Well, you don't know if it was his property or not. That's the thing with, I'm somewhat of a memorabilia expert, William. Now my area of expertise is hockey jerseys, but I can't tell you how many times I've had a player contact me and said, "Hey, I hear you have my jersey. I want it back." I'm like, "Well, I paid $700 for it, so if you want it back, you can pay me $700 and it's yours." And they don't quite get that, the teams own the shit. So when, Pierre-Luc Dubois gets his jersey made up in a couple months, I'm assuming it's going to be number 80, Washington Capitals. Uh, that's not Pierre-Luc Dubois' jersey. It's the Washington Capitals jersey, and so they sell it to brokers, and, someone like me buys it and say Pierre-Luc Dubois retires in 10 years or whatever, and he wants this first Washington Capitals jersey back. He's going to call me, and I'm going to be like, "Hey, bro, I paid $1,000 for it. It's yours for $1,000." I had Dennis Bonby contact me. Now, I later became friends with Dennis Bonby. That's Dennis the Menace. Thank you very much. And I had his first Colorado Avalanche jersey, and he called the company that had the shirts, and they said, "Hey, this guy in California has it," and they called me and said, "Hey, Dennis Bonby wants to talk to you," and I knew he wanted this jersey. So I'm like, okay, excuse me. So he called me, and we talked like an hour, and he's like, "Hey, man, I'd really like my first Avalanche jersey. I scored my first NHL goal in it, I think." And I'm like, "Well, dude, I'm not gonna lie to you, Mr. Bondy. It was $750. I either need the money, or if you want to trade me another one of your jerseys, because his minor league jerseys go for thousands, because he was the all-time penalty minute leader in the AHL, and he still might be. And so he sent me a Hershey Bears jersey, which in auction easily would have gone. Now this is crazy, but that shirt easily would have gone for $3,000 to $4,000 because he was the most popular player. So I'm like, yeah, I'll take that one. My favorite Steven Seagal movie, I think his first one. What was it? What was his first one? Was Sharon Stone Out for Justice? Something like that. Was fighting the mob above the law. You're right, William Zoom. I knew. Uh, well, I mean, from a business perspective, I won the deal. I mean, I could have turned around, and I still have the jersey, and flipped it for $5,000 to a Hershey Bears fan, because those Hershey Bears fans are fucking rabid. I mean, the backup goalie's jersey will get $2,000. Um, so, um, I see what you did there, Staggy. Yeah, I like Above the Law and Under Siege. Under Siege 2 is pretty good. And I'm a big Eric Bogosian guy. Um, so I always enjoy anything he's in. We'll do another we'll go to an hour. We won't do another stream tonight. We'll do another 12 minutes, and then we'll do a slightly earlier version of the Earlverse. Thank you to Pierre-Luc Dubois. Oh, I mean, some of those minor league teams, like when I used to be really into collecting, there is, the number one jersey dealer in the world is this place called My Gray. It's based in New Jersey, and they have a huge warehouse in New Jersey that has literally thousands of jerseys, hockey jerseys, basketball jerseys, WNBA jerseys. Um, I think they have a deal with the New York Giants, the football team, and they have Richie was from Above the Law when Seagal went into the mob bar, um, and it's really hard to explain what this warehouse looks like. It's like 3 stories of jerseys, and so I think the rules was you couldn't go into the warehouse till like 2 p.m. So at 2 p.m., literally all the Hershey Bears fans were lined up, and they stormed the warehouse like fucking rhinos, the bulls of Pamplona. And the funny thing is, let's just say there were some bigger fans, and the Hershey Bears shirts were on like the 2nd story, so you had to climb a ladder to get to them, and that was pretty fucking funny. Um, Does Bill Belichick's new girlfriend like him for his money? Of course. You think a girl who's 24 is gonna fuck a 72-year-old guy? Come on, man. I mean, I'm 55, and look how dating young girls has worked for me. Um, but I didn't have the money Bill Belichick does, or the Super Bowl rings. Good for him, though. You know, it's legal. That's all I care about. Um, I mean, he'll probably make it in comedy before me. Who knows, Jordan? Check out Jordan's channel, Baby Dolls. The number one travel vlog on planet Earth. It's fully edited with music, jump cuts, video inlays, the real deal. Jordan the Lion. Um, One of my longest friends in the jungle of comedy. He did my makeup for the Iron Sheik roast when I was dressed up as the ultimate warrior. So if you can't support me, support him. Um, and then no spots this week at the Comedy Store. You know, it happens from time to time. I got two last week. Checking in from New Hampshire, Rough Cut Rules. Yeah, Jeffrey LeBlanc, I believe you are new to the stream. And, you know, I'm starting to see my long-term goals for this channel slowly taking place where we get some new meat. Notice that we haven't talked about the Dabbleverse once. There's been not one mention of Steel Toe or the Quad Father. And by the way, a shout out to the Quad Father because he was one of the 2 or 3 people who was trying to get me monetized. So I will always have love for the Quad Father. What do you think of Johnny TV and Taya? I mean, I love those guys. I mean, Johnny TV is a great wrestler, and I hope Taya gets. Well, we got some new bodies in here. Um, T-Gun, what I mean. Like, Jeffrey is not a frequent visitor to the Earlverse. So, you know, my goal, you know, eventually, say in a year, 2 years, maybe even months from now, is to have hundreds of people in here. And we're talking politics, wrestling, um, you know, very little to none at all the Dabbleverse stuff. So I don't think Quadfather can walk ACDC. I mean, show me the video. But who knows? Everything's a work. Everything's a work. So I think if I get enough hockey fans and wrestling fans and politic fans, um, you know, we won't have to talk about any of the Dabbleverse stuff. It's just so uninteresting to me. Oh, okay, Jeffrey. Well, welcome. I mean, if it's a work, he's done it quite well. So a quad is it below the neck or below the waist? Um, well, Stancil, you know, Stancil's a provocateur, so I'm sure it's not a work. But getting back to this stream, the Earlverse, you know, and you know, obviously next Thursday we got the debate. Now I don't know if we'll do a live stream because I kind of want to listen to what they're talking about, um, and you can't really do that because it's distracting um, to the viewers of the Earlverse if they hear the TV on in the background. Uh, yeah, I mean Holtzman is a you know he's a soldier. You know he is. You know, someone who's older than me by I think 10 years, and he's just now making it, whatever that means. Um, Quad would be arms and legs. Oh, I see. But he has some use of his arms. Yeah. Uh, ACDC, that's pretty funny. So, you know, we can talk. You know, basically, my goal, you know, and, you know, when people, obviously, I'm Dabble versus adjacent. Um, so I don't mind talking about it. I just, uh, I don't have a lot to add. Like with Stuttering John being outside of Melton's house, it's like, Jesus, man, this is fucking getting creepy. Hit the like button. We got 5 more minutes. Not bad for an emergency Earlverse. Wheels Parisi. So yeah, I mean, check out Jordan's videos. They are way better than mine. I mean, my protein cookie reviews are about as low tech as you can get. But Jordan has done a lot of my thumbnails. Of course, today's thumbnail was brought to you by The Athletic because they had a nice high definition picture of Pierre Luc Dubois. Did Dice Clay advise you on the preview? I mean, my videos are Dice like Stugatz. Wheels invented everything. Well, who knows? Maybe when I'm a little more technologically savvy, I will come out of the smoke. I mean, let me tell you something. That Earl, the comedy special opening, you probably thought this was pretty low budget. That cost about $1,000. They had to build a stage, basically a rotisserie. So I was on that rotisserie, and my body moved around, like this, and the smoke machine and all that shit. That was not cheap. That was about $1,000 I spent. Can you talk a bit about your special? I haven't seen a live stream since you don't have a specific time. And I do apologize for that. I am working on trying to do it at the same time or around the same time every day. This week, tomorrow I have yoga from 6 to 7. Friday night I have a gig in Temecula, so I've got to leave about 5:30. Saturday I have a spot somewhere. So I mean, I realize that's part of why Kevin Brennan's podcast is so successful, is every day at around 1 p.m. it's MLC time. So this is not a perfect live stream for sure. No, no, I will not go to the inauguration. He hasn't even done my fucking podcast. Yes, the leather pants were no joke, but I already had those. In terms of my special, what the fuck, get over it. Basically, the last 2 years, I've been shooting vignettes, doing a documentary on why I don't have a comedy special with my 2 friends, the great comic Ryan O'Neal and the award-winning documentary maker Pistol Pete Lazarus. And for about 2 years, we've shot probably 40 hours of footage of me going to my childhood home, me going to my grade school, me going to my high school, me looking at venues for the special. We walked around the porno theater that I wanted to do the special at. And so, we're unsure of what we're going to do. We might do the documentary first and then do the special, or we might just put it all together. But that would be about, a 3-hour fucking project. And I don't know if people's retention rate would be that high in a 3-hour ordeal. So, that's really where we stand. But, Pete also works in TV and film. So his projects take precedence, obviously, because for 2 years we've worked on the documentary. None of us are getting paid. So he's got to take paid work where he gets it. O'Neal's touring the world right now with Bert Kreischer. So that's kind of, we're not at a standstill. I mean, we had kind of creatively done everything we wanted in terms of the documentary. And, it's not easy trying to get a venue in Los Angeles. The porno theater just went belly up, went out of business. I really wanted to do it somewhere in Venice that has a great fucking look to it. But their management staff is a bunch of young kids, so they don't really get that time is of the essence for daddy. Um, so Pistol Pete. If I did do porn, my name would be Dick Hammer. Uh, well, Brendan Schaub has 2 comedy specials, but he also has major management that pays for everything. I realized I could do a GoFundMe and, "Hey, give me money and I'll put the special out," but I'm not doing that shit. I mean, yeah, you guys could super chat and shit, but that's not gonna pay for a special, and that's not me complaining, but I'm just saying, you know, uh, I mean, super chats and gifted memberships and super thanks on videos are I guess what you would say, a supplementary income, but they're not gonna pay for a comedy special. I mean, when we had a person who budgets comedy specials and TV shows, she because we were getting so discouraged, we thought, well, we'll just do it in my condo. Well, literally, you can't see, but over there is, a perfect space for a small stage. You got a background that I could put the Earl sign up, maybe something else, and just fill this condo with probably 40 people. It would seem like that Springsteen video for Born to Run, where there's like a million people. Um, but because you know the hardwood floors, you'd have to hire a sound crew and you'd have to hire a legit film crew, and that's about 30 grand, to be honest with you, to film. And you'd have to fucking record 2 specials basically in case there's any fuck ups. It's literally about 30 grand. Now I realized you could do it with one camera just right there, kind of like Hinchcliffe's, one shot at the ice house. And that would be a lot cheaper, but I want it to optic optically and visually and audio wise sound amazing. Um, yeah, Randy Stone, he's dead. I could call in a favor, but um, I mean, if I had like a super rich fan, uh, or I do know a lot of successful comics, but no one's really helped me that much, and I'm not complaining, but all the successful comics I know, and they know I'm still trying to fucking hustle and grind. But no one owes me anything. It's like I would love to be on Rogan, but he don't owe me shit. I've never done anything for Joe. Uh, yeah, Jake Ely, I highly recommend Badlands. They just, unfortunately for Badlands, they came in at just the wrong era. They were too good, and they, outside of Ray Gillen, who was a piece of shit, he was knowingly passing around HIV. They weren't the best looking group of guys, to be frank. Um, who's scary? Oh, Weinstein or Pat Patterson? They're probably pretty equal. Um, I mean, Drunken Donuts, you love talking about the gays. Drunken Donuts, just come out of the closet. I don't care if you're gay or not. A view's a view. All right, you kids, I got to go conduct some business before AEW Dynamite. And I do agree with you, Jordan. This could be a good Dynamite. Friends don't. Oh, no. The right phrase is friends do because they want to do. Uh, well, I love Eric Singer, but, he's not going to win any modeling awards, nor is Craig Chason on bass. And I mean, Jakey Lee back then, not a bad looking guy, but he's not like, the greatest looking guy. And then, Ray Gillen, he was a great looking guy, but I mean, there's a reason he got AIDS. Pew! Um, Dreams in the Dark is a song you could check out on Send Me a Sweet, Sweet, Turn Out the Lights and My Love Will Go. I can't, my ex-girlfriend who manages Motorhead, she told me you could give Ray Gillen the phone book and he could sing it. So Earl Skakel over and out. I will try to be doing these uh, with more frequency in terms of the time, but my schedule is so that would be great. Poison. But I do like Warren. I've had Joey Cagle, aka Joey Allen, the lead guitar player of Warren, on Inappropriate Earl. And speaking let's see, it's been a busy day for me in terms of uploads. I just uploaded Anita Strauss of Alice Cooper, the video. I never had released the video, it had only been audio did a protein cookie review. The Earl Skakel comedy special is near. Basically a commercial for the special. That is out. It's age restricted though, so you have to be on YouTube to watch it. The Brody Stevens video was uploaded 2 days ago. So if you can't tip me, that's fine. Hit the like button, hit the sub button notification, so when I go on, you get to get it. And a good bowler, Johnny. I'm glad. I mean, I'm proud of it. It was a labor of love, and was not something we just threw together. Obviously, I'm just ripping off the beginning of Cobra, and I am proud of it. And obviously, I want the special to do well too, and I think it will. But to do that, you have to. You got to call in some favors. I'd have to call Dr. Ken and, hey, can you get me on this podcast? And I'd reach out to Santino. Hey, can I get on Best Friends just to promote it? And, I'd have to really, I'd even like with Rogan. I don't know if I would call him, but I would maybe reach out to Hinchcliffe. Hey, can you put in a word with Joe? I'm trying to promote the special, and can I do Kill Tony? I'd have to really like work the phones, because podcasts really are the way now that gone are the days of talk shows. If you said to me, would you rather go on the Tonight Show or Rogan? I'd rather go on Rogan. Well, I mean, Terrence Howard is a pretty big actor, so I get that. Yeah, I won't call him the day he tells me to. Shark Island, great song called Bad for Each Other. Head on my shoulder, seems like a crime. Why always we so tough on each other when we know it's not right? Law and Order, great album by Shark Island. There's a major label release. Unfortunately, they probably released it a little too late. And that's another band that, outside of Richard Black, the singer, not the best looking group of dudes. That's the same thing of a Tesla. Great band, but they look like they all worked at a swap meet. Fly High Michelle, Chips Enough, provided one of the funniest moments I've ever seen. I mean, definitely the funniest moment I've ever seen at a concert was when the singer from The Darkness stuck some guy's phone up his ass because he was recording. Second favorite, funniest moment at a concert was when I was seeing Enough's Enough at the Viper Room, and Chips Enough noticed that Dennis Hastings, Mr. Belding, was stumbling around, going up to people in the crowd. He stops the song mid-song and goes, hey, can someone get Mr. Belding some booger sugar? He's looking a little thirsty. And then went right back into the song. Doc Ellis and Gung Ho. Oh, yes. So isn't that the Michael Keaton movie, if I'm not mistaken? Yeah, Tesla literally looked like plumbers. I mean, Poison looked like 4 hot chicks. Rat was even a passably decent-looking band. Well, that's what they call me, Mr. Big. Boing! I'll see you guys tomorrow. Earl Skakel over and out.